I would not be shocked if they have a similar run to what we saw with Atlanta a couple years ago.
Whoa, Eastern Conference.
What do we expect Cleveland to do this upcoming season? Where do we see them land in the East? That's how we get back on track.
All right, where do you see them landing?
I see them in the 4th or 5th seed. Might be a huge jump, but when I'm looking at the Eastern Conference, I see the Bucks, Celtics, Sixers is probably like your top 3, and then from there it's kind of like an open field. You know, Miami, the Raptors, the Cavs, those teams.
There's
are
a lot
like
of teams in the East.
The Hawks, another
Sixers.
team. There's just like
Chicago.
They're teams that it's like they're good, but they're not like a top 3 team, and so that's kind of why I have them in 4 or 5.
They're definitely in that area, the 4 or 5. You know, those teams that you mentioned, they're not top 3. I don't think this next season. I do think they're gonna struggle early on, just because the dynamic between last year, they were a team that was team basketball. You know, like they're passing a lot, they're doing their thing. Darius Garland's their leading scorer. And this season, dynamic is going to change. They're going to have to adjust. Donovan Mitchell's coming in. I think that'll take a toll on the record a little bit. They're still going to be a good team. I think that they're above 500, probably 7 to 8 seed. That would be where I would slot them at. But great season. This is something to build off of.
I mentioned at the beginning, Biggerstaff is starting to really build a culture with this Cleveland team. And we noticed it a lot last year. Andy, you touched on it. It's a basketball city. Fans love basketball. And you start to feel like just the culture in Cleveland right now is very positive. And I think that's great for Mitchell. So I feel like the transition, maybe the first couple games, it might be a little bit different. But I really do think if he buys in, this team can... I don't want to say a 3 seed. I'll slot them at the 4th in the East. When I first saw the trade, I even talked to Andy.
Whoa.
I talked to Andy. I was like, Andy, this team's going to compete. And I still believe it. I really do think Cleveland is going to surprise people in the postseason. And I would not be shocked if they have a similar run to what we saw with Atlanta a couple years ago.
Whoa, Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, Eastern Conference Finals?
Yeah, you know what? I'll stick with that. I'll roll with that.
Whoa.
No, I agree. That's my expectation is the Eastern Conference Finals. Like it's my expectation. I hope they make 4th in the East. I know it's gonna be kind of tough. You have Brooklyn, Celtics, Bucks, 76ers. Like it's deep, but I mean, so are the Cavs. So
the Cavs are deep. I love their bench, and I am gonna ride with the Cavs. And there's my hot take. I'm gonna pick the Cavs.
I don't think it's a hot take at all.
I love it.
I mean, I kind of see that. When you look at those other teams that are in that area, the Raptors, the Heat, the Hawks, those teams, they're very similar in the sense of like they have a nice starting 5, and then it's like their bench is like okay, and it's like they're all good teams. And that's why I feel like they're all very even. So it's like, even if they're the 4th seed, they could be like a couple games above the 7th seed. Like that's just how the East is kind of built. It's just everyone's kind of stacked on each other, sort of thing. The only thing that keeps them out of kind of that 4 or 5 range to me is like also how well the Nets are. Right. You know, if the Nets pull it together and they're clearly a top 4 team, that's where I'm like, okay, yeah, definitely 5 or 6 range. So that's why I kind of agree with you there.
4 or 5. Yeah, Andy.
Yeah, I think they were right around there last year, and they were getting there. And
they were.
One thing that just like held them back, and I really hoping that it's not the same thing this year, is injuries, because that like really shot the record down towards the end of the year, and that's what booted us into the playoff or the play-in, because we were like just slotted straight for the playoffs, and then we just started losing like 20 games. And
I'm sitting with a bunch of people who believe the Cleveland Cavaliers are once again contenders. Hey, thanks for watching. Before you leave, make sure you like and subscribe. We're the only NBA show that focuses only on covering small to mid-market teams. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Small Ball Podcast. Have a great day.